Every business owner knows they need a plan. Yes, we know we need a yearly plan, but are you doing a quarterly plan every 90 days? So we know that we could easily go and just create our own 90-day plan, but in our interview with Mark Blume, business coach today, he shares with us the power of having somebody like a business coach come in and facilitate a planning session for you and your team. In addition, the benefit of not just that, but also doing that in a room with other business owners. Let's have a listen to Mark. Mark Blume, business coach, thanks for joining me today.
Good afternoon, Michelle. Good to be talking to you.
Mark, why business coaching for you? How did you become a business coach?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I, at the stage, hadn't realised I'd been coaching for about 15 years before it was called coaching. I was the director of franchise operations for a franchise of 40 stores, inverted commas, and my role in there was to actually assist those 40 business owners, or me plus 39, to actually grow, change, learn about business. And in 2006, somebody came along and offered myself and my two other partners enough money for us to go and decide on what's next in our life and put some money in our bank. So, and with hindsight of what I had been doing and what I was enjoying was helping other business owners. So it was a natural fit, even though coaching was very new. I did enough research and came across Brad and ActionCOACH, and I'm a strong believer in franchising. So I found a franchise model that I knew would work and jumped right in, and that's 18 years ago now.
Amazing. And so, Mark, from all of those years, let's not count them, but all of those years of, coaching for you throughout your career, you would have helped a lot of business owners or worked with a lot of business owners that have got various different challenges. What do you find is that kind of one thing that sort of, that most business owners are really struggling with?
When you go back and analyse it, business is lonely, can be very, very lonely. And if you haven't got somebody in your corner giving you the additional push and shove and actually believing in you, it can be really, really challenging. So part of what I work on initially with the business owners that I engage with is to assess where their self-belief is on where they maybe could take the business, where they can take themselves. And once I've understood that, it's then to create a plan about what may need to change, and particularly around that self-belief area, so that I can assist them in stages usually, particularly if I find somebody that has got a low self-belief, that I can actually help them in stages build to, a level that they never thought was possible at level 1 and 2, let alone when we get through level 3, 4, and 5, where they're actually owning businesses that they don't actually have to operate anymore.
So when you say, that business is lonely and that you're often working through, whether it's limiting beliefs or fears that business owners have, what often is that fear that you find?
Sometimes it's not knowing what they, it's they don't know what they don't know, and then the path out of there, or I'm not good enough is another one that I regularly get. No, I couldn't do that, and the process of helping them understand that if they want it bad enough, they'll get it, but there's got to be a path forward on how we get there. And ActionCOACH runs a system called the initial alignment, where we actually dig deep enough to understand not only what they want from their business, but why they want it and what they want for their family. And once we dig deep enough into the family, there are some crazy things happen inside people's brains when you say, yes, what you want is all possible. We've just got to have a plan. And as a coach, to actually help them develop that plan and push and cajole and hold them accountable along the way is what they need. And they then work out, well, it's not so lonely anymore. Then when you add our other key program with our quarterly planning with groups of clients, these clients that they don't actually get to mix with anybody else, actually get to mix with, another 15, 20 business owners in a room once a quarter, and then they form their own community, that they're able to share their war stories with, their wins and their challenges. And that community is a cool place to actually see what happens when they see other businesses owners being successful. Well, that also triggers them that, hey, I can be like that.
Yeah. So when you said, having a plan, I think it's, certainly for me that when you don't have a plan, or when you start to feel that chaos arise in your day or throughout your week, being able to go back to a plan and just do that. Like, what's that action I need to take from that plan that I wrote, 30 days ago, or whatever it might be, that keeps me on track to achieve those goals?
Yeah, and you mentioned the word chaos, and hey, you've got access to me as your coach whenever you need it. If you've got something you're not sure on, send me a text, or if it's really urgent, ring me, and we'll discuss that. Usually with my clients, they know they're going to get me sometime in that day where I will be able to get back to them to help them with something that might be the chaos moment, the stuff that they've never thought about or don't know how to do it. As you said earlier, I've worked with hundreds of business owners, so all those chaos things have happened to all of my clients, or as a group, over the last 30 years. So, and having that resource is very valuable for, a client of ActionCOACH.
And when you say, every client has a 90-day plan, is that regardless of the business size or type, or is it just for smaller businesses? What kind of businesses should have a 90-day plan? Because there's all these different types of plans. You can do a yearly plan, a 5-yearly plan. Why 90 days?
Yeah. 90 days is a short enough period that we can get a number of both strategic and operational goals done and feel like you've achieved something. Yes, the plan style may vary between a small business and the week last Friday I had a 90-day planning session with a client that's been with me 5 years now. They've now got their senior management team meeting to set their own plans. So the whole team, I facilitated that planning session in 4 hours where every senior management department walked away with their own plan. So that's slightly different to our normal planning day, but it had a lot of the prerequisites that we normally use. The business owner, he came to the overall business planning session with all the other clients. He just didn't bring his management team. So we go and help larger management teams actually run their own planning day.
And why do you think having an outside facilitator like you running those sessions for a team is beneficial?
Yeah, great question. I got some feedback out of this one, but there are a couple of pretty new senior managers in that team, and a couple of them had come out of corporate life. And the way that we're taught on how to engage a full team and actually make sure that they are all engaged by making sure that everybody is actually expected to give feedback and to give comment and actually be part of a team is what one particular lady said out of last Friday. She's done plenty of those inverted commas meetings, but never had one where there was I'm part of that team. The owner sees me as part of his team. Therefore, the rest of the team see the coach as part of that business.
Geez, what did you do that was so good, Mark?
Started with a plan and finished with them having a plan. That's what I did.
So is it the ownership? You really gave them ownership of their own plan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The expectation was that they were going to go away and fill out our standard 90-day planning spreadsheet, and with 2 or 3 goals that tied in with the overall 90-day theme and the 12-month goals that we also talked about at the start of the session.
Great. So when with some of the businesses that you've worked with, you have, I'm sure there's been massive transformations. Is it the transformation with the business owner or the team, or is it the business? Talk to me about a story that you can share.
So there's a really, really nice story, husband and wife building. When they first came to me, he talked about him being a carpenter. He didn't talk about being a builder, because he didn't believe at that stage he could be a builder. So over the weekend, actually Friday afternoon, he sent me a text. I didn't see it till Saturday, and that was about he had 2 big wins last week. And business owners love to share that with somebody, but they don't have anybody usually. And one was about a massive big project that he's won, and it's grown past $1 million, and we started off at $700,000, and then he won another government contract last week as well. So that sort of level of interaction with the owners is really, really good. But back to the story of him being just a carpenter. Oh, no, I can't be a builder. So first of all, and his mindset was, I just want to be able to pay myself. When we started, that was his goal. I just wanted to be able to pay yourself. Why do you want to be able to pay yourself? Well, then I can get a mortgage. And then why do you want a mortgage? Because I want to own a nice house. And you dig deep enough in these initial alignment sessions to uncover what their dreams actually are. And when I did that initial alignment, that was all I could get out of him. I wanted to be able to pay myself, and then I wanted to be able to go to the bank and buy a house. And at that stage, maybe 7 years ago, I'd have to go back and check, but 7 or 8 years ago, he was charging himself out as though he was an employee, and very, very low hourly rates. So I had to, as a coach, understand that that's all he could think about: paying himself, getting a house. So if I achieved that with him in 1 year, and that's what the 1 year goal was, and in fact we kicked it. He was able to go to the bank, buy the house he was actually in, and have in his head at the second annual alignment, I want to expand the house. And then I want to have, well, how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to have to get a couple more employees, and I'm going to have to do more work, and I'm going to actually have to get my builder's license. And this whole process of getting him to want more and be comfortable to actually articulate that he did want more. Again, we we as people sometimes, particularly in Australia, this tall poppy syndrome. No, I can't be a builder. Well, if you want to be a builder, you can be a builder. It's just what we've got to get in place to get done. So that story goes on now. The end of the first year, the alignment, and I wouldn't actually mind having a small rural block of land, 100 acres or something. And because he'd come off a farm, he's at quite a small town he lives in. He's got 5 brothers, and the family's very well known. But he didn't want to tell anybody about that goal. Then we got him more successful, and then he was doing bigger tenders. He won a tender for a huge job in town. By his standards, it was a $3 million job, and we hadn't. I think that by that stage he might have been doing $1 million, $1.5 million turnover. So then he won that job. He learned how to tender. He learned how to actually quote properly, quote profitably. Learned his numbers. Then he purchased. Well, another goal the next year was to purchase his own business premises. They purchased their own business premises. So this roll on of realign every 12 months and get them to believe in themselves and their value. When he's doing the $3 million project, he's charging himself out at $200 an hour as the project supervisor. And he's a guy that started. He wasn't going to charge himself out at $40 an hour. So there's this big mind shift of I can and I am worth that amount of money, and people should be paying it. So that whole process, and just recently, 2 years ago, he purchased a large rural holding of, I think it's 900 acres. And that 900 acres is still only 8 minutes out of town, and he's discovered that it's got a very big available quarry resource. He started the quarry, so he's actually going out and being more entrepreneurial, still running the building company with one of his brothers running that for him, doesn't actually have to do it day to day. Can actually get in his caravan. Oh, I couldn't have a caravan. Well, I couldn't have a caravan. What would other people say? I couldn't have the latest four-wheel drive Land Cruiser. What would other people say? And we had to get he and his wife through that. Don't care about what other people say. It's what you want to have and how hard you've got to work to get there. And to actually have that client 7 or 8 years on still talking to me on Friday afternoon saying, this is what I did. That's an awesome place to be as a person, and to have that input back into him and his family is just fantastic.
Love that story. So, there's a couple of things that you said that I just want to drill down into. One is you said, it really doesn't matter where you're at in your business or your life, there's always a next level. And so why is it that people do it? Why is it so helpful for people to have somebody like a coach push them to think or dream bigger?
Yeah, I think the key is, and even in my own business experience, there's we draw a slide of or a flip chart about you're climbing a hill and you think you're getting towards the top, and there's another hill over the other side that you can't see yet. That's typically what happens to business owners. They get to a certain level, and unless there's some change, get back outside your comfort zone, you're not going to be able to get to that the second hill. And the second hill that's actually behind those as you grow as a business owner. It's about your own personal growth. And I just said, get yourself outside your comfort zone. But at times, business owners that take a coach to hold their hand have seen this multiple times. And that reassurance that, hey, there's a room full of 20 people I can go and ask tomorrow is how this coach has helped you or help them to actually just, there's a mental picture that says, well, hey, this guy knows what he's doing and has done it all before. And in my case, if you add that first 15 years onto the 18 now, it's nearly too far ago to actually remember. But there's a lot of experience that a coach brings to a business. And a lot of clients will come along initially fearful of, you don't know my industry. I've got to know your industry. Well, no, we don't. Our business process, it's a process, and you've just got to follow that process no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah, or size, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that, so for business owners that are listening that are thinking, okay, I can see that if I reach this hill, you're telling me there's another hill on the other side of that I'm also going to have to climb. That seems really hard. Why would I want to do that? So what you're saying is this yearly kind of check-in on your goals and dreams help you stay on track, or do I just stay comfortable where I am? Because I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. So there's two factors there. There are some business owners that I come across that already know that they've got pretty aspirational goals of 10 years from now. I've got clients that want 10 times their net worth in the next 10 years. So they're really clear, and they know that there are going to be other mountains to climb and other things that they don't know about that they'll need help with. They'll need education, and this is about our story about what books and podcasts are you listening to or reading to actually improve your own business skill. On the other side, generally a business is either growing or it's dying, and if you're in your comfort zone, you're a candidate for your business to be a slow death for it and for you. So, inverted commas, if you're a business owner that's not interested in growth, well, I'd be getting the heck out of there pretty damn soon, because there are plenty of other business people that will go past you. And yes, it is uncomfortable outside your comfort zone, but that's where making mistakes and getting that growth opportunity is where most of the change can happen.
So 90-day plans, what does that look like? How do I do that?
So our system is quite regimented. During that 90-day planning session, there will always be some educational element of it for about an hour, but the session itself always starts with, let's go back and review where we're at right now, because we often don't celebrate enough of our wins, and we don't share enough of our learnings or challenges. And within a group of another 15 business owners in the room, you will always learn something from how did they get that win, or what did they do about that challenge as part of the process, and we'll celebrate with you. I think the most important, the most significant one, only less than a month ago for our 90-day session, for one client, is not only biggest annual turnover growth, but more importantly, a doubling of their actual net profit growth, which was, again, and to be able to share those percentages, and sometimes the clients are happy to also share their numbers. So the next phase of the planning is to actually go in and set what your numbers, review what your numbers were for last quarter, work out what your annual numbers are and what the next quarter's component of that, and then what other systemization that may need to be done in the next 90 days, and not just the goal itself, but the actual action points that have got to be done in that next 13 weeks to actually get it complete.
And so how many goals within that 90-day period should I set?
Generally, I say less is more, and if you set too much and don't get there, you'll become more frustrated. So generally, I suggest to clients 3 to 4 goals is enough. Just get those 3 or 4. And sometimes that also depends on the size of the team. I've got several clients that actually not only bring themselves, but maybe their general manager with them. So they'll get more done because there's 2 people working on the plan. Although the business I indicated that there's a CEO, general manager, and then 7 line managers, they're going to get a lot done because each of those has got 2 or 3 goals. So we're going to get a lot of stuff done.
And ownership, like you said before. Yeah.
And, when I see those larger businesses, I've got, they've got 35 employees. I've got another one that's got 35 employees, and they've instituted the planning process down to their senior managers. So we're actually 2 levels down doing their plans. And ultimately, one of those is now working on each individual staff member having their own plans. So it's a very, very simple, but not easy to get done, inverted commas. The other thing I'll say about planning is that we way underestimate what will get done in 10 years, but we way overestimate what will get done in 1 in a planning sense. So less is more in that 90-day period is what we recommend.
So give me an example of a goal. Like, when we look at, let's say we need to, an annual goal for the business might be to improve, top line revenue by 20%. How did I then work out what goal I set for my 90-day plan?
So simple maths is it's 5% a quarter, and it might be that it might only the first quarter will do 3%, but we'll accelerate it depending on how we're actually going to do it. So some comes back down to the how, and if you're talking about a revenue target, the how might be sell more to our top 20 customers, or sell more to our top 10 customers, right? Then, well, how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, we're going to go and interview them, and we're going to do 3 of those this quarter, and 3 the next quarter, and 4 the next quarter, or whatever. Breaking it down is crucial. Another example would be we're going to employ a new manager for a department that doesn't exist anymore, and that's that can be as much as a 180-day goal. So if the department doesn't exist anymore and we're going to employ a manager, there's a lot of pre-work that needs to be done in the first 90 days before we even put an ad out to actually find the person. So, some goals do take longer. If we're just replacing an existing person, that can be as easy as 90 days.
And I guess that's the benefit of the planning session that you mentioned, is the looking back, the rear view mirror to see where did we go? How did we go in terms of our last 90-day plan? Are we on track for the year? And then that determines the next 90 days, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the power of review is that's why we always start with the wins and challenges, so that we're getting the learnings out of those and the celebrations as well. Another important part about the plan is, what is your celebration when you actually get to that goal? 20% more revenue might be an event for the sales team. It might be an event for the whole team. You again set a reward for it, so that that enrolls other people in the goal as well.
And what happens if you don't have a plan?
Well, if you're not growing, inverted commas, you're dying, or there is a lot of chaos in business. And particularly, there's a plan for one of my clients right now where he's added another component, or another completely separate entity to his business, and he's already doubled the turnover in the last financial year, and he's going to double again this financial year. So there's a lot of opportunity for chaos in that environment, particularly when he's recruiting and changing processes and updating all of the work that we might have done 5 years ago that's not relevant anymore.
So you've been religiously running these planning sessions every 90 days, every quarter. How many are you up to now, Mark?
71 was on the board last. So 71 planning sessions. So I'm religiously very passionate about their value to the clients and their community. It's not just about the individual clients, but what they learn from each other.
So if there's one message you could give to business owners that might be listening to this about planning, what would it be?
It may sound too far-fetched for some to understand how valuable it is, but it's not. It is relatively simple. It's not complex, but it's got to be done consistently, and the sooner you can get your senior managers involved in having their own plans, the real benefit will come.
And that would help with culture too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Again, the team I had last Friday, we spent a good hour on their culture. Their culture points have all been updated as the team's grown and as the business has grown. So, they worked on what the culture means to them in their own individual departments. For nearly an hour.
And a leader or manager of a department is going to take just so much more ownership of that plan when they're involved in that.
Not just coming down from the top. They've developed it.
Brilliant. Great stuff, Mark. Okay, 3 questions to finish with. Are you ready?
Yep.
What's your favourite business book?
The E-Myth.
Good book. Who's been the best mentor or coach for you throughout your career?
Brad,
yep, we hear that one a lot. Brad Sugar's our founder, for those who don't know who Brad is. And number 3, what's the best piece of business advice that you ever received?
Never give up.
Thank you for joining us today, Mark.
That's my pleasure, Michelle.
Michelle Adams, your host here. Hats off to you for committing to your learning by listening to this podcast. And if you'd like some help implementing some of these strategies, then click the link in the description to find your local action coach. They can help you put these strategies into action and take your business and your life to the next level. In the meantime, like and subscribe so that you're the first to get our next episode. We'll see you soon.